Welcome to all of you. The day we are going to discuss a topic which is very challenging and very interesting from the economic point of view. So the name of the chapter is Poverty as the Challenges. And while we are discussing the challenges, discussing the problems, discussing the obstacles, discussing the barriers that Indian economy faces, as the poverty is the drawback, is the demerit, is the destructive obstacles of the growth of the Indian economy. So from the very beginning, we are highlighting some points. We have different points. From this point, we are going to highlight the real stigma of poverty. So, in first case, we find landlessness. Means, though who are daily labor, who pay the daily wages, they known as the landlessness, and they completely depend upon the others' land, and they have no land, they have no financial assets to build up their economic growth. But the landless labor are being the victim of poverty as the key issue of Indian economy, that in India having 20% people, 20% people having what complete land ratio, and 80% people having no land. So it is the great tragedy, because the growth of population also being the cause of the poverty. And next is unemployment ratio. The number of colleges, the number of institutions, educational institutions open day by day, and the number of degrees and number of certificates are provided to the students, to the university graduates. So they, after getting the job, after pass out from the universities, from the different institutions, they become job seeker. Indian economy or Indian education system will not promote them how to being a job donor. So that's the main issue, that's the main reason why the people who get highly educated but they are unemployment. So they are the liability to the economy. They are not known as assets. Educated unemployments are the liability to the Indian economy. So in economy, we try to build more and more asset, and liability are the debt to the economy. And size of families, some having small families, some having nuclear family, they are having small, they are having nuclear, they are having large, they are having large. So in that way we find out how this family in Indian economy, in Indian society, the families are so important. From the family's point of view, purchasing power parity. There is another word, PPP. In family, there is a purchasing power parity. The number of person who having the purchasing power of parity means in family there must be an earning member whose complete income must be depend upon this purchasing power parity, and which is known as, typically known as, it is called as the individual ratio, which is known as the part of the Indian economy, and it helps to the growth of GDP. And illiteracy is the cause of excess growth of population, is the absolute cause of illiteracy. Negligence is the cause of illiteracy, and there will be no place of illiteracy in a healthy democracy, in a healthy growth of the economy. So the developed economy, they try to marginalize their illiteracy rate, and they have to improvise their literacy rate, and that's why the country being developed. And another thing is poor health and malnutrition, sorts of vitamins, protein, and different calcium carbonate and all the fatty acids element are being absent in our day-to-day food. We take food regularly, no doubt. We are not taking the healthy foods, malnutrition foods. We are taking the low calorie foods, which is absolutely indicate of the poverty and helplessness. That is the social exclusion. You are completely disconnected from the society. You are completely despair, and you have no need to help for the economy, and you still being a helplessness individual and who have no rights in the exchange of the business of day-to-day merchants. And poverty lines, another example is the poverty lines, the people who are in the below poverty line. So they are having three stages of the categories. In size of family, we have discussed small, nuclear and large. And in poverty lines, vulnerability, we are discussing about the below poverty lines, people who are having middle class, small middle class, upper middle class, above middle class, so lower middle class. These are the stages: lower, small, upper middle class. So these are known as the absolute categories of the poverties, from their standard of living, from their purchasing power parity, from their annual growth, and all these are the parameters are required. And poverty estimates, in not only we estimate the poverty in rural area, but also we estimate as well as in urban. That is the ratio of 20 is to 80. What in urban we have 20% poverty, and in rural we have 80% poverty. That is 80-20 ratio. That is 80-20 ratio. 80-20 ratio. And vulnerable groups, the groups which are lagging behind in the mainstream of the society, they are the groups. They are giving the special importance, special priority, and special focuses to the scheduled tribe and scheduled caste and other backward classes, and socially, economically, those who are weaker sections in the society, and some of the socially, culturally backward class, we can use the word. And the interstate disparities. Disparities means the ratio of the poverty changes from state to state, varies from state to state with their economy, with their annual growth, with their per capita, with their GDP. All these are the parameters that will be measured for the interstate disparities, interstate gap of the people's living, people's earning, people's regular economic activities, people trading. All these things are related in the interstate disparities. And in global poverty scenario, that is the main focus of the global poverty scenario, the continent which having known as the poor continent in the world, the Africa continent, and having Africa having the poor ratio of growth, poor ratio of literacy, poor ratio of malnutrition, poor ratio of all standard of living, they have been lagging behind in the most developed nations. And cause of poverty, in my point of view, the poverty causes only because of the growth of population. Only because of the growth of population. Not only the growth of population, but also the so many causes are there. On distributions of the resources, monopolized of the resources, influenced of the big people of the resources. And after all, there should be the poverty is there, and the motto is that we have to eradicate the poverty. We have to completely destroy the poverty from the society. There will be no word that will hinder to our year. Poverty still exists. So that's why we take different significant measures, futuristic steps, which are called anti-poverty measures. We have taken what are the significant steps we have to taken for the future that will eradicate the poverty, and our future generation will not face the problem. We have to take different steps. Not only the citizen but also the government. Both have taken this bold step, and they have to fight against poverty by giving award to the people for their rights and proper utilizations of the resources. Also be the eradication of the poverty. We can eradicate the poverty by proper distributions of the resources. And after all, this is the chapter that we deals with some of the key elements, which is called why poverty is challenges. Because today's society demands that poverty exists as a developed nation, as a developing nation. In developed nation, there is a lesser number of poverty exists. In developing nation, there is a more number of poverty exists. But after all, poverty exists, and it will exist for a lifelong journey of the economy. So you can't ever hinder, but you have to slow down. You have to eradicate from some point of ratio of their number. So that's all from the today's class 9 poverty as a challenges chapter point of view.